Assalamu alaikum, dear students. This is your IYS teacher for class 7. I hope you all have done your classworks and your homeworks where they were needed. Again, I am instructing you, kindly do not ask questions in the middle of the teaching. If you have any query or any question, ask after finishing the teaching. You can ask questions after 9:35. Now there are some more instructions. Keep your course book and workbook with you. Today we are going to study vocabulary and grammar. And in vocabulary we are going to study characterization. So you must be thinking, what is characterization? So characterization is the process by which the writer reveals the personality of the character, means by which the writer tells the readers that how the character is, what type of person the character is. Okay, so as you know, it's a process by which writer reveals the personality of a character. We can say characterization is the description of a character's physical traits, means how a character looks, a character's personality, a character's thoughts, a character's actions. Okay. So there are two types of characterization. Okay, so they are direct and indirect characterization. So what is direct characterization? Okay, in the direct characterization, in the direct characterization, we tell the audience that what personality of the character is. Okay, in direct characterization, the writer tells the audience what personality of the character is. So there are some, for example, listen to the example very carefully. The patient boy and the quiet girl were both well mannered and did not disobey the mother. Okay, so the author is directly telling the audience the personality of these two children. The boy is patient and the girl is quiet. So, in direct characterization, the, the writer tells directly, straight away, what type of character he or she has and what type of character he or she should be. Now, indirect characterization. In this in this characterization shows things that reveals the personality of a character. Okay, so there are 5 different methods of indirect characterization. They are speech, thought, effect on other characters, and looks. Number one, let's take the example of speech. Okay, we use in indirect characterization the speech. For example, hey, we can have lots of fun at camp this summer. So this shows us the character is upbeat and happy. Then thoughts. For example, I wish it would stop raining. I'm tired of still inside. Okay, so this shows us the character is not happy about the situation. Now, the third one is in which we use indirect characterization, that is effect on others. For example, the boy glared at his sister as she ate the dessert. This shows us that The character is upset about the sister's behavior and inability to think of others. And then number 4 is action. For example, okay, the example is the girl rode the lawn mower through the house and into the garage. So in this example, the writer shows us the girl does not care with rules and safety. Then looks. For example, the little girl left the game with slumped shoulders and frown on her face. So this example shows us the little girl is not enjoying herself and is upset. Remember, the difference between direct and indirect characterization is telling and showing. Direct characterization tells and direct characterization shows. Now, let's see. Now open course book, page number 55. Okay, narratives contain both direct and indirect characterization. I hope now you know something about direct and indirect characterization. In indirect characterization, the writer tells the reader what is happening by making direct comments about the character. Writers often use this when they want to move on with the story and don't want to waste time. For example, Ali watched Ali watched as Ray placed the bag on the table, undid the clasp, and opened it. There was nothing inside but scrunched up papers. So, in this example, the writer did not waste any time. He just told about the character, what type of character it was. Now, in indirect characterization, the writer shows what the character is doing through action, speech, or thought, as I told you. The examples given on the next page, okay, show that indirect characterization tends to involve the reader more. Now, so on page number 55 of your course book, okay, activity number A is the following example. In that third roll of thunder, hear my cry. Direct or indirect characterization. Let me read the passage. Yet he was always sensitive to others, and now shifting the handle of his lunch can from his right hand to his right wrist, and his smudged notebook from his left hand to his left armpit. He stuffed his free hands into his pockets and attempted to make his face as moody as Stacy's and as cranky as mine. So, what do you think? What type of characterization it is? Is this direct or indirect characterization? Okay, so you must be understood this is indirect characterization. Now I am telling some more examples of direct and indirect characterization. Okay, just listen to me. So, there is one more example of direct characterization. Jeff was a mean boy. So, this is direct comment of the writer. But indirectly, we can say Jeff walked up to the mark and took his sandwich off his plate. He took a bite, smacked at Mark, and then walked away. So, indirectly, the writer is saying that Jeff was a mean boy. Okay. Then, one more example. Joe's boss was stingy and rude. So, this is direct characterization. Joe's boss was stingy and rude. So, how we can convey in the indirect characterization? When it was time to go home, Jeff's boss called him to his office. He told Joe that he would not get his paycheck for the week until he finished a report on the new product. Then his boss got up, turned his lights off, and left the office to go home. Okay, so it was indirect characterization. Indirectly, the writer is saying Joe's boss was stingy and rude. Okay, I hope you have understood more about direct and indirect characterization. Now, so this is vocabulary, your workbook, page number 34. Kindly open your workbooks, page number 34 and 35. So each of the following pairs contains one example of direct characterization, means you have to write DC, and one example of indirect characterization. Okay, you have to write IC, indirect characterization. Okay, write DC or IC against each of them. Okay, first I am reading the first example. Number A. Robert is the sort of person who cannot throw anything away. He keeps the newspaper after he has read it each day in case he wants to read it again in a week's, a month, or possibly 10 years time. So what do you think? What type of characterization is it? Direct or indirect? So it is direct characterization. Okay. Then number B. Robert finished the newspaper, folded it neatly, tucked it under his arm, walked thoughtfully along the passage and up the stairs to the second spare bedroom, where he carefully placed it on top of a pile of previous issues of the newspaper that was already over half to the ceiling. An article in today's newspaper had reminded him of something he had read in the same newspaper a few years ago. He wondered if he had time to go into the first spare bedroom and search for it. So I hope easily you could understand that this is indirect characterization. Okay, now this is page number 35. You will continue on page number 35. I am reading number A. Have you heard the latest about Raymond? He wasn't late again, was he? He was 5 hours late. I mean, 5 whole hours. How do you manage that? It would take far less effort to get to place on time. Then number B. Raymond seemed to be by nature incapable of getting anywhere on time. He sometimes amazed his friend by what seemed like extraordinary feats of lateness. So, what do you think? Number A. Number A is direct characterization. In this passage, the writer told directly that he was late. Okay, he never do anything on time. Okay, then in the second, okay, he is saying the same thing but indirectly. So that is indirect characterization. Now number 3, A. My heart was going like a drum. I told myself the same thing that I always told myself. Move with the crowd. Keep your eyes on the person in front of you. If there is nobody in front of you, keep your eyes on the steps. Don't look up. Don't look right. Don't look left. Only, it's only a footbridge. It's a railway station. You will get over it. So, what do you think? What type of characterization it is? Definitely, you must be understood. This is indirect characterization. Now, Julia was terribly scared of heights. The same things in both paras are there. See, so Julia was terribly scared of the heights, even sometimes as safe and simple crossing of footbridge as at a railway station could be should be source of terrible agitation for her. So this is you must be understood. This is direct characterization. The writer is saying directly to the character. Now, number four. Pair number four. And he loved art. He wanted to surround himself with choice works by older and modern masters in elegant frames. Unfortunately, he was too poor to be able to indulge his passion. He had to make do with what he could afford. So, what do you think? What kind type of characterization it is? So, it is direct characterization. Means he was poor and he was an art lover. Then walls of Andy's tiny room were covered in postcards. Pages from newspaper, magazines, posters, cheap prints, and faded engravings. They were fastened with drawing pens stuck on with sticky tape, inserted into ill-fitting frames, bought from a charity shop, propped up on any surface, sometimes overlapping one another as if they were plants in an overgrown garden competing for the light. So this is easily you can understand this is indirect characterization. Okay, because in this passage the writer is telling that Andy was poor and art loving, but not directly, indirectly. Okay. Now let's move towards grammar. So open page number 58 of your course book. In grammar, we are going to study powerful verbs. Okay, what do you think? What are powerful verbs? Actually, powerful verbs are more descriptive verbs that can really make a huge difference to our writings. When we are writing, we try to communicate our thoughts and ideas. If we use accurate words, so we can communicate in a better way. Okay, like for example, said. We can use different words. For example, in place of said, in place of said, we can use whisper. We can, by this, we can understand that what type, how the writer is saying, what type of setting is it is, what type of environment is there. So we can use in, instead of said, whispered, groaned, screamed, cried, laughed, mumbled, so many words. Those there are a lot of examples we can replace with sad. Okay, so there are other powerful verbs like instead of walk we can use stroll, saunter, wander, tiptoed, stumbled, so many. And for eating, we can use gobbled, chewed, gulped, licked, and others, so many others. And for seeing, for saw, we can use glance, admired, spied, peeped, and so many others. So now see your book. Remember that powerful verbs can bring a piece of writing to life. Okay, they tell us not only about what is happening but also about how the characters feel. Okay, so in one word you can tell many things. Other than revealing how the character feels, a verb can also add to the image of the setting. Okay, for example, if it is a warm summer day and someone is ambling rather than walking, it encourages us to sense the warmth as well as visualize the character. So what do you think? What is the meaning of ambling? Ambling means walking very slowly. Why the character is walking very slowly? Because there is a lot of warmth. Okay, there is a lot of heat, and because of that heat, the character is walking very slowly. Okay, I hope you have understood yesterday's lesson. And okay, in yesterday's lesson, I mean, it was roll of thunder and hear my cry. In this lesson, the writer has used a lot of powerful words. So let's see the next activity. Find the following verbs in the excerpt and make short notes in the table about how you think the character feels. So, do you remember how many characters were there? There were four characters. Okay, there were one girl and three boys. The first boy was Stacy, the second boy was Christopher John, the third boy was Little Man, and the fourth was girl, and it was Cassie. Okay, let's see. Lagged. So who was lagging? Yes, Little Man was lagging. He is walking slowly because he does not want shoes and trousers to get dirty in the dust. Okay, so lag means remain behind. Okay, and that is who was lagging? That was Little Man, and he was walking slowly because he doesn't want his shoes and trousers to get dirty in the dust. Okay? Next word is threatened. Okay, who was threatening? It was Cassie. Yes, Cassie. She is angry with Little Man and warns him that Mama will be angry with him if he is slow. Okay, who is threatening? Okay, Cassie is threatening Little Man and warns him that Mama will be angry with him if he is slow. Then the third was glance. Who who put glance? Yes, Christopher John looked at Little Man. He is aware of Little Man's slowness, but he doesn't want to tell him off. Okay, so that is who is glancing. So that is Christopher John. So he is aware of Little Man's slowness, but he doesn't want to tell him off. Okay, he doesn't want to scold him. Next word is tug. Who was tugging? It must be Cassie, the narrator. Cassie, she is irritated by the collar of her dress. Okay, she was tugged because she was irritated by the collar of her dress. Then dragged. Who was dragging? It must be Cassie. She is reluctant to go to school, so that's why she was dragging herself towards her school. Cassie is reluctant to go to school, so that's why she is dragging herself. Now, who is imprisoned? So that is must be Cassie. Cassie's feet. Cassie is angry having to wear shoes. Okay, Cassie is angry at having to wear shoes. Means she doesn't want to wear shoes, and by force she is wearing shoes. So her feet are imprisoned in that shoes. Okay. Now, in your workbook, on page number 37, there is an activity of grammar. Here, fill in the blanks with the most appropriate verbs. Fill in the blanks with the most appropriate verbs. So they are, I hope you have opened page number 37 of your workbook. Now, the activity is number one is water was dashed continuously from a small leak inside the washing machine, and had already formed a large puddle on the floor. So, number one choice is gushing. Gushing means a sudden rapid outflow. Then trickling. Trickling means to pour a liquid very in a very thin stream. That the drops fall continuously. Then streaming. Streaming means to flow in a continuous manner. So what do you think? Which one is correct? Which option is correct? This is trickling. Okay, you got it. Now, number two is we had enough strength left for one last effort. Perhaps if we all dash on the rope together, we might be able to drag the vehicle clear on the mud. So, I'm telling you the options. Option number is strain. Strain means to hold tightly. Okay, option number two is tug. Tug, to pull or drag with great effort. Or number three, option number three is heave. Heave means to lift with difficulty. So which option is correct? What do you think? This is heave. Okay, so they have to lift with difficulty. They have to lift the vehicle. Now, number three, we wonder if we had come to the right place. There was no visible sign that people had ever lived there. All traces of human activity and human habitation had been dashed. So, number one is disappeared, the meaning of disappeared, then removed, as well, then obliterated. Obliterated. This means to remove completely. So what is the correct option? So this is obliterated. Okay, next is the passage. Number four, the passageway that leads to the inner cave is so small that you have to dash through it on your hands and knees, keeping your head well down. So number one is kneel. Kneel means to rest on one's bent knees. And number next is slither. Okay, slither means to slide. A snake slithers. When a snake moves, it slithers. And then crawl, a child crawls. Okay, what is the correct option? That is crawl. Okay, so they had to crawl. Now, now there is an essay. Okay, the essay is on importance of education. Okay, there are three parts of essay. Number one is the introduction. First you write the introduction as you are doing your essay as your homework. Yesterday I gave you. So first you have to write the introduction, and introduction you write about what is your topic is. Then the second part is the body of the essay. In your body of the essay, whatever your knowledge you get, you just tell about your knowledge, what knowledge you have about that thing. And then okay, and your body may be and your body may have one, two, or three paragraphs, whatever you want. And then you have to write the conclusion. Okay, so at the end you write uh, the conclusion, how beneficial those things is, or if it is a personality, so why do you remember that person. So that's okay, so that type of things you write in the conclusion. Okay, now I'm reading importance of education. This is our today's topic, importance of education, and I'm sharing this topic with you. Okay, education is something that holds utmost importance in one's life. It is a tool that helps to acquire knowledge and attains light within the mind of an individual, a person. Education makes us aware of everything happening around, whether we are a child or an adult. Employment is yet another benefit of acquiring education. People are more likely to get jobs when they are educated. It also improves the speech and communication ways of people. Educated people can greatly influence society with their words and actions, as they can express themselves more effectively. Means educated people are very beneficial for the environment. Educated people are more effective at using various technologies of the present era. Thus, education plays a great role in making us aware of numerous gadgets and technologies that can improve the quality of life. On the other hand, uneducated people find it quite difficult to withstand this modern era of technology. Education also makes a person mature and effective in his decisions. Educated people know the importance of discipline and time management, and thus have greater opportunities to become successful people in life. Education is a fundamental right of every individual. Thus, everyone must acquire means get education to understand every important aspect of life. Government is making many efforts to inculcate, means to include education in every class of people. Many government schools are established in different cities so that everyone can acquire knowledge and become successful in life. Education is the light of hope and the great thing of to make one's life full of content and happiness. The only thing that interferes with my learning is education. This is said by Albert Einstein. Okay, class, take the screenshot of the essay. Okay, the first part. Okay, class, I'm giving you time. Student, I'm giving you time to take the screenshot of the essay. Okay, now again take the screenshot. Okay, there are two parts of the essay. Now let's share your homework. Homework is write the essay importance of education, which I have shared you in your fair copy. Okay, at the composition side. And the second is do activity number C in course book page number 59. Okay, now so this is your course. And okay, now you can see you have to fill the list of the words. Okay, so this is your homework. Now this is the end of my teaching.